My girlfriend screamed, "You're suffocating me. I need breathing room," all because I texted asking where she was at 2 in the morning. I replied with a simple understood, blocked her contact, gathered my belongings while she was unconscious, and relocated to a different state without any explanation. 3 years later, she tracked me down. I'm Tyler, 27 years old, and I can still recall the precise moment everything shattered between us. It was around 2:30 in the morning on a Wednesday. I rolled over and discovered the space beside me was empty. This wasn't the initial occurrence, but something felt distinctly wrong this time. Her phone was vibrating constantly with incoming messages downstairs. I sent a quick message asking if everything was all right and where she'd gone. Basic concern from a worried boyfriend checking in during the middle of the night when his girlfriend of 2 years disappeared without mention. My phone erupted with an incoming call within 45 seconds. "You're honestly doing this right now?" She was yelling, genuinely screaming into the phone. "You're monitoring me at 2 in the morning. Do you understand how smothering you are? I simply woke up and noticed you weren't here. I was concerned about you. No, you're being controlling. This is precisely what I keep telling you about. You're constantly hovering over me, always interrogating me, always demanding to know every detail. I cannot continue like this anymore." My mind was still clouded from sleep. "Continue what exactly? You're too needy. I require space." "Seriously, why can't you simply give me room to breathe?" The call disconnected abruptly. I remained seated there in our apartment, surrounded by darkness, phone still in my grasp. 2 years as a couple, sharing a residence for 9 months, and I was considered too needy for asking where she'd gone at 2 in the morning. Something inside me simply clicked, off, like a circuit breaker. I surveyed the apartment. Most of the furnishings belonged to me from my previous residence. The lease was under my name because her credit history was terrible. I covered roughly 70% of all expenses because she'd been unemployed for 7 months. Understood, I stated aloud to the vacant room. She returned home at approximately 6:15 in the morning. I pretended to be asleep. She slipped into bed as though nothing had occurred, carrying the scent of alcohol and something else I preferred not to identify. Her phone continued buzzing with notifications. I waited until she was completely unconscious. Then I began executing my plan, called my supervisor at 8 that morning. Family emergency situation. Need to utilize my vacation days beginning immediately. He was understanding about it, asked if everything was okay, told him I'd provide details later, though I didn't actually intend to. Called my buddy Derek, who owed me numerous favors. "I need your pickup truck and your help today. I'll cover fuel costs and purchase whatever you want." He arrived at 10 in the morning. She was still completely unconscious, probably recovering from whatever she'd been doing throughout the night. We operated quickly. Every piece of furniture I owned went into that truck. My clothing, my electronics, my kitchen equipment, everything. Derek didn't question anything, just continued loading boxes. I left her possessions behind. Her wardrobe, her cosmetics, that expensive hair styling tool she absolutely had to have that I purchased. Even left the bed since she was sleeping on it. No longer my concern. Collected all my important documents, birth certificate, passport, everything. Removed my name from the utilities right there on my phone while Derek drove the final load to his place for temporary storage. Visited the bank. We'd maintained separate accounts, fortunately, but I'd been transferring her money for groceries and gasoline weekly. Deactivated my payment apps, removed the applications. Changed my phone number at the provider's store. New SIM card, new number, completed. Then I did something unexpected. Remember how I mentioned I'd been planning to propose? Yeah, I was that naive, had a ring and everything. $4,200 I'd accumulated over 13 months. Returned directly to the jeweler, explained my situation. Took a loss on the return but departed with $3,100 in cash. Used that money combined with my savings to secure an apartment in another state. Had a job opportunity there I'd declined 7 months earlier because she claimed she couldn't leave her social circle. Called them back. Position remained available, starting in 2 weeks. The entire operation required 12 hours. By 9:30 that evening I was gone. No letter, no explanation, no farewell. She wanted space. She received infinite space. Blocked her contact before the new SIM card even activated. Blocked her everywhere. Social media, email, everything. Blocked her friends, her sister, everyone connected to her. Stayed at Derek's place that night. He kept examining me like I'd lost my sanity. "You doing all right, man?" "Yeah," I replied, and strangely I genuinely was, felt nothing, simply finished. Drove 16 hours the following day to my new city. Started my new position 2 weeks later. New apartment, new existence, new phone number, completely clean separation. That was 3 years ago, update 1. Life was actually quite good. The new position paid better than before, made new acquaintances, started seeing someone about 9 months ago, nothing serious but healthy dynamics. Attended therapy for a period, worked through my trust complications, purchased decent furniture. Lived independently and appreciated it. Then last Thursday, I'm at a coffee shop near my workplace doing some tasks on my laptop. Someone occupies the seat across from me. "So this is where you've been concealing yourself." I looked up. Megan, my ex-girlfriend, sitting there as though we just encountered each other yesterday, not 3 years prior. My brain malfunctioned. "What? Required forever to locate you. You simply vanished. Changed your number, deleted everything. Do you have any concept what you put me through?" I closed my laptop. "How did you locate me? Your friend eventually revealed where you'd moved. Took some persuasion, but I can be very convincing." She smiled like this was charming. "We need to discuss things." "No, we don't." I began gathering my belongings. She grabbed my wrist. "Yes, we absolutely do. You departed, no explanation, nothing. You just disappeared like a coward. You informed me I was too needy and required space. I provided you space. That's not what I intended and you're aware of it. I was simply stressed that evening. At 2 in the morning when you weren't home," her expression twitched. "I was with friends. Girls' evening extended late. Cool, enjoy your space." I withdrew my wrist and stood. "Wait." She rose as well, voice increasing in volume. People were observing. "I'm pregnant." The coffee shop became silent, or perhaps that was merely my ears ringing. "Congratulations. I'm certain the father will be excited." "You're the father." I actually laughed, couldn't prevent it. Mathematics doesn't function that way. "We separated 3 years ago. That would make your pregnancy approximately 1,095 days along. That's probably a medical record. Don't be ridiculous, it's from before. I didn't discover until—" "Stop." I raised my hand. "I'm not participating in this. Whatever scheme you're attempting, find another target. It's not a scheme. The baby is also. I have a 2-year-old son and you're his father." "Okay." That altered the circumstances. Not that I believed her, but now there was a timeline that technically functioned. "Show me." "What?" "Show me evidence. Photograph, birth certificate, something." She retrieved her phone, hand trembling, displayed a photo. Child appeared like any random 2-year-old. Brown hair, blue eyes, could have belonged to anyone. "Birth certificate indicates father unknown," she added. "I didn't know your location, but he's yours. I'm certain he is. DNA test. Arrange it. If the child is mine, we'll determine the situation. If not, lose my number. Again. Are you serious? After everything you put me through, you're questioning this. You appeared after 3 years claiming I have a child." "Yeah, I'm questioning it. DNA test or we're finished here." She became quiet, doing that thing where her jaw tensed. "Fine. But when it returns positive, you owe me 3 years of child support backdated. If it returns positive, attorneys will determine what I owe, not you." I departed, got in my vehicle, and sat there for 20 minutes, hands trembling. A child? After 3 years of silence. The timing was technically feasible. We'd separated right before I left, so if she was already pregnant when I disappeared, no, something felt wrong. Really wrong. I called Derek from back home. "Hey, strange question. Did my ex ever contact you asking where I relocated?" "Dude, she called me probably 75 times over 6 months. I told her I had no information. You said she finally convinced you." Pause. "No, I never revealed anything. Haven't heard from her in approximately 2 years. So she lied about how she discovered me. Excellent beginning. Update 2. She messaged me from a number I hadn't blocked. DNA test scheduled for Saturday at 1 in the afternoon. Appear or I'm filing for child support without you." Cool. Additional threats. I responded, "Send me the address and laboratory name. I'll confirm it's legitimate." She sent a facility I'd never encountered, researched it. Quick results DNA testing. Fast, affordable, confidential. Warning signs everywhere. Website appeared questionable. Reviews were either 5 stars or 1 star, nothing between. I contacted an attorney friend. "Don't attend that facility," he stated immediately. "Schedule your own test through a certified center. Court-admissible results exclusively." So I messaged her back, "Not using that facility. Here's a list of 3 court-approved centers. Select one and I'll meet you there." Her response, "Are you serious? I already paid for this one. You can't simply change everything to accommodate yourself. You're so controlling." There it was. That word again. Controlling, court-approved facility or no test. Your decision. She called me 14 times, didn't answer. Then her mother Carol called from a number I also hadn't blocked. You need to stop playing games with my daughter. She's been through hell raising your child alone while you enjoyed yourself in another state. Hello. This is the first I'm learning about any child. I'm willing to take a DNA test through a legitimate center. If you're aware of my location, you know I have employment and stability. If the child is mine, I'll manage my responsibilities through attorneys and courts. She doesn't want attorneys, she just wants you to be a father. Then she should have informed me 3 years ago. Now everything proceeds through official channels. If you'll excuse me, you owe her. Do you understand what she experienced? Pregnant and abandoned. She had to relocate back with us. She couldn't maintain employment. Her entire life collapsed because of you. She informed me I was too needy and required space. I provided her precisely what she requested. She was frightened. She didn't know how to tell you about the baby. You traumatized her with your jealous, controlling behavior. This was fascinating in a horrible manner. 3 years later, and suddenly I was the antagonist. The controlling, jealous boyfriend who traumatized her, not the guy who got screamed at for asking a simple question at 2 in the morning. Ma'am, I'm disconnecting now. Tell your daughter to select one of the facilities I sent or we're finished. She selected one. Finally, Saturday morning, 11 o'clock, court-approved facility with proper chain of custody procedures. I arrived 30 minutes early. She appeared 10 minutes late with her mother and some guy. Boyfriend, actual father. No idea, the child was present, cute child actually. Looked tired and confused, kept asking who's that about me. This is someone we need to speak with, she told him. The lab technician explained the process. Cheek swabs, proper documentation. Results in 3 to 5 business days. The child began crying when they attempted to swab him. She became annoyed. Stop being difficult, just open your mouth. The child cried harder. I don't have experience with children, but even I understood you can't simply yell at a crying 2-year-old and expect cooperation. The technician offered to retry in a few minutes. We waited in uncomfortable silence. Her mother kept glaring at me. The boyfriend kept scrolling his phone. Finally got the swabs completed. I provided mine, signed all the documentation. They indicated results would be emailed. As I was departing, she followed me to my vehicle. When this returns positive, we need to discuss finances. Through attorneys. Stop saying that. I don't want attorneys involved. I just want you to help support your son. If he's mine, I will, properly, legally. Not whatever informal arrangement you're attempting to establish. You're still controlling everything. This is precisely why I needed space from you. I turned around. You disappeared at 2 in the morning and screamed at me for asking your location. Then I departed and you had 3 years to reach out through legal channels if there was actually a child. You chose now. You chose appearing randomly. You chose a questionable DNA facility first. So yeah, I'm controlling the situation by ensuring everything is legitimate and documented. Accept it. You're going to regret this. When you see how much child support costs, when you see what you missed, you're going to regret being such a jerk. Possibly. Or possibly I'll regret wasting 2 years on someone who thought screaming at me at 2 in the morning was appropriate communication. Her mother emerged then. Leave my daughter alone. You've caused enough damage. I got in my vehicle and drove away. Spent the remainder of the weekend feeling strange. If the child was mine, my life was about to change dramatically. If he wasn't, this was an insane fraud attempt. Wednesday afternoon, the email arrived. I was in a meeting but excused myself to the restroom to read it. Results: 0% probability of paternity. Not mine, not even close. 0%. I forwarded the email to the attorney friend. What now? He called me immediately. She attempted to commit paternity fraud. You could potentially pursue charges, but honestly, just preserve this documentation and block her again. If she attempts anything legal, you have proof. She wasted my time, my money for the test. She lied. Yeah, but engaging further just invites more drama. You have proof the child isn't yours. That's all you require. He was right, but I was angry. 3 years of peace and she appeared to attempt to trap me with a child that wasn't even mine. I forwarded her the results without comment. 5 minutes later, my phone started exploding. Different numbers all calling. I answered one. You sabotaged the test. She was shrieking. You paid them off or something. There's no way. It's a court-approved facility with chain of custody documentation. I didn't touch anything. The child isn't mine. We're finished. No, we are not finished. You owe me for the 3 years I spent. You spent 3 years lying. Goodbye. I hung up and blocked every new number that called, changed my number again that afternoon. New SIM card, new number, notified only the people who needed it. Cost me $35 and an hour of my time. Worth it to never hear from her again. Update 3. Thought that was the conclusion. Spoiler alert. It wasn't. 2 weeks later, I got served at work. A process server appeared at my office with papers. Lawsuit. She was suing me for emotional distress and financial damages stemming from abandonment during a vulnerable time. She was claiming $47,000. Broke it down as $16,000 for emotional trauma from abandonment, $11,000 for medical expenses related to stress-induced conditions, $20,000 for lost wages and career opportunities due to psychological damage. My supervisor was very understanding about the process server situation, but I was humiliated. Got served at work, in front of colleagues. I immediately contacted an attorney. Real one this time, not just my friend. Attorney specialized in this type of situation. She reviewed the papers and actually laughed. This is one of the weakest cases I've seen. You weren't married, you weren't cohabitating under common law, and you had no legal obligation to notify her of your relocation. She's grasping at straws. Can she actually win? Highly unlikely, but we need to respond and defend. It'll cost you some money, but probably less than engaging in this circus would cost emotionally. Cost me $2,700 up front for the attorney. Whatever. I wanted this handled properly. The attorney sent a response that included the DNA test showing the child wasn't mine. Documentation that she tried to use a non-certified facility first. Text records of her calling me controlling. I'd kept screenshots. Proof that I'd maintained steady employment and had legitimate reasons for relocating. We also filed a counterclaim for attempted paternity fraud and harassment. Her attorney, some discount guy she found, tried to argue that I owed her because I'd been financially supporting her during the relationship and she'd become dependent on that support. My attorney's response basically stated that helping pay bills during a relationship doesn't create a legal obligation after it ends. People break up. That's life. The case dragged on for 7 weeks. Discovery was interesting. She had to provide evidence of her stress-induced medical conditions. Submitted some therapy bills and receipts for anxiety medication. My attorney found her social media. She'd forgot to make it private. Posts from 3 weeks after I left showed her at parties, concerts, bars. Living my best life finally was one caption. Another stated single and free, thank God that's over. Didn't exactly scream traumatized by abandonment. We appeared in court for the hearing. She wore a conservative dress, looked sad, kept dabbing her eyes. Her mother was there for support. The boyfriend wasn't present. Her attorney went first. Whole sob story about how I'd emotionally abused her during our relationship by being possessive and controlling, then cruelly abandoned her when she needed me most. The judge asked if her client ever attempted to contact me through proper legal channels or file a missing person report. Her attorney stuttered. Well, no, but did she know where he worked, where he grew up, any family contact information? She tried to find him, but he blocked her. Blocked her on social media is not the same as being unreachable through legal means. Continue. They tried to make the pregnancy situation work, even though DNA proved the child wasn't mine. Claimed I'd caused her emotional distress during that vulnerable time, regardless of paternity. Judge was not impressed. Then my attorney presented our side. Clean, simple timeline. We dated. We lived together. I paid most bills. She stayed out until 6 in the morning and screamed at me for asking where she was at 2. I legally ended our cohabitation by removing my belongings from my apartment. I relocated for a job opportunity. 3 years later, she ambushed me with a false paternity claim. When proven false, she filed a frivolous lawsuit. My attorney presented the social media posts showing her living her best life weeks after I left. Presented text records of her calling me controlling. Presented the DNA results. The judge looked tired. Ma'am, people end relationships sometimes suddenly. That's not illegal. You were not married. You had no children together. He had no legal obligation to maintain contact or provide support after ending the relationship. Your claim of abandonment has no legal merit, but he just left. No explanation. I had rights. The judge actually removed his glasses. You had the right to a relationship that both parties wanted to be in. He exercised his right to end it. Case dismissed. Then he examined our counterclaim. As for attempted paternity fraud, I'm inclined to believe there was an attempt to deceive. However, I don't see malicious intent that rises to criminal level. I'm ordering the plaintiff to pay defendant's legal fees. $2,700, she gasped. I don't have $2,700. You should have considered that before filing a frivolous lawsuit. You have 90 days, dismissed. Outside the courthouse, her mother started yelling at me. You ruined her life. She had to move back home. She's drowning in debt, all because you couldn't handle a real woman. Your daughter screamed at me for asking where she was at 2 in the morning, lied about having my child, tried to scam me with a fake DNA test, and then sued me when that didn't work. She ruined her own life. I just refused to be part of it. She loved you. She loved the 70% of bills I paid. There's a difference. My attorney pulled me away before I could say more. Don't engage. You won. Walk away. In the vehicle, I felt empty. Not happy, not sad, just tired. This entire thing had cost me time, money, emotional energy. 3 years of peace disrupted because she thought she could manipulate me one more time. The $2,700 in legal fees she owed me. Never saw a dime. She filed for bankruptcy 6 months later. Found out through my attorney friend who kept tabs on the case number out of curiosity. Last I heard through the grapevine, mutual friend who didn't know our history, she'd moved back to our hometown, was engaged to some guy, and was apparently still telling people I'd abandoned her when she needed me most. Some people never learn, never take accountability, just stay bitter and entitled forever. As for me, changed my number one more time after the court case. Deleted all social media except a private account with like 12 people on it. Made it as hard as possible to be found. Been with my girlfriend Rachel for over a year now. Healthy relationship, actual communication. When she's out late, she texts me. When I ask where she is, she tells me without screaming about being controlled. Turns out that's possible. Who knew? Never told her the full story. Maybe someday. For now, it's just a strange chapter in my past. The time my ex tried to baby trap me 3 years after I ghosted her, and somehow I ended up in court for abandonment. Still have the court documents. Kept them, just in case she ever tries again. Proof that I owed her nothing then. Owe nothing now. You want space? Be careful what you wish for. Some people take you seriously.